So I was the red flag in my first healthy relationship, and here's how I stopped being the toxic one. Number one, I learned to be vulnerable and open up and speak up about how I feel and what I need. I used to have the hardest time with this because any time in the past with others, exes, hell, even growing up in my household, it was never met with validation. It was never met with understanding or someone caring about how I felt. And so I would be passive aggressive in my relationship because I just thought that, I felt almost foolish bringing it up, scared to do it, or afraid that, I was being too emotional, stuff like that. And so one day I just decided to stop doing that, and I started speaking up about what I need, what I want, what I'm feeling, what's wrong. And it just made the world of difference. Letting him in like that, it helped him to be the best man he could be to me. He was already being a good man to me, but that really helped him to understand me more and to be there for me more. And it also helped me to not feel those feelings that I felt inside, like the anxious feelings, just actually talking to him and opening up. Number two, instead of complaining about something that he was not doing, I learned to instead ask for what I would like him to do. I find that complaining to most men, if not all men, it just comes off as if you are nagging. And in a sense, you are. Instead, I found that what works and what helps is to basically just say, hey, I would like this. Hey, I would like for you to do this. Or, hey, can we do this? Or, hey, I would like it if you did this more. Or, hey, I would like it if you did whatever it is that you want or need, instead of complaining about what you're not getting and complaining about what you want and all of that. Instead, just say, this is what I need. Simple as that. Straight up, if he's a good man, just straight up say, hey, I would like this, and I bet you he'll do it. Number three, you got to stop doing that fight or flight. And I feel like that's what may have helped you in the past, either fighting or either running. But in a healthy relationship, you cannot do that. And I am going to be honest and say that for a while, I did have that in my mind. Like, we have any type of misunderstanding or miscommunication, any little small inconvenience, I'll think to myself, like, that's it, I'm leaving. I would think it. I used to say it in the beginning. I used to say, we need to break up, just whatever. I would just break up. I would just be so quick to say that. And I noticed it would just make our fight so much more, like, it would just make it so much more worse, is what I'm trying to say. It'll just make it bad, and just, it escalated. It would escalate him. And I can never understand why. I'm like, why you acting like this? We have an argument. Don't you want to leave anyway? And that was my bad thinking like that. Like, okay, he wants to fix it, but here you are saying we just break up. You can't do that. You can't say it, at least. So what I learned to do is, instead of saying it, calm myself down. And in my head, I would think it, but then I would come to him calmly, and we would have a discussion. I would say how I felt, he would say how he felt, and we would be back on solid ground. And eventually the fight or flight is no longer existent. And I don't even think that anymore. So you got to stop saying we can just break up, or you got to stop running. You got to stop, running away from the uncomfortable conversations and the minor inconveniences and things that may come up. You got to stop that. You got to talk it out, because talking it out, I promise you, is going to make the relationship even stronger and better, and make the connection even stronger. Number four, this has to do with my abandonment wounds and issues. I learned that you have to give him his space. And with that being said, it's not to say that you all can never be together, nothing like that. It's meaning that whenever he takes up time doing his own hobbies, or time outside the house away from you doing his own thing, you have to let that be, and don't let that make you anxious. It used to make me a little anxious because, I don't know, maybe it was because of thoughts from my past relationships where exes were cheating on me. And you have to give that new guy, the healthy relationship, a chance. Let the trust build and give it a chance, and know and remind yourself that this is not the same person. This is not the same situation. This is not the same relationship. And not only that, what helped me is also having my own life. Like whenever he do his thing, I had to make sure that I'm doing my thing that may be outside of him or separate from him. Whatever my hobbies or whatever I like to do, I had to keep that up and keep doing those things. And that helped tremendously. And my last one, number 5, is basically learning how to argue. And what I mean by that is, instead of going to him, blaming him or accusing him of doing something or making me feel that way, I would instead own my feelings and say, when you did this, it made me feel this way. Instead of going in and saying, you did that and you did that and you did it on purpose, basically accusing him of something that he probably was not intentionally trying to do. And so I think this is just another way to learn how to properly communicate and to own your feelings, because however he made you feel, it is your feeling to own. But you can go to him about the feeling, but I feel like you get a better response. And from this could be for anyone when you think about it, because if anyone comes to you accusing you of something that you weren't trying to do, you're going to get defensive. Instead, if they came to you and said, hey, when you said or did that, it made me feel like this. And when someone's coming to you like that, saying it made them feel a certain way, and if you care about the person and love them, you're going to want to listen up to how you made them feel. And then you'll probably be apologetic and say, oh, I'm sorry, I was trying to make you feel that way. Well, and then you can come to a conclusion on how to do better the next time. And that's what helped with us. Instead of me always going to him and just being ready to just shoot off and accuse him and say this, that was nothing but, my past coming back to haunt me from my toxic relationships, and me just automatically assuming that he did this and that on purpose and he tried to hurt me on purpose. Instead, I would own the feeling and say, hey, when you said that earlier, it made me feel like this. When you come to someone that's healthy, that really loves you and cares about you, when you come to them like that, they are going to be more receptive because they care about you and love you and respect you. And it's never going to be in their intention to hurt you. So I learned to try that way instead of coming in blazing guns, blazing going off.